The Empire Beneath the Sand. A lost civilization, a forbidden discovery, and the truth that changed history. The desert was never silent. Beneath the endless dunes of Egypt, the wind sang through the bones of forgotten empires. In 1924, when the sun rose over the Valley of the Kings, it touched more than sand and stone. It touched secrets that had slept for 4,000 years. Howard Carter's discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb 2 years earlier had ignited the world. Newspapers called it the greatest find in history. But they were wrong. The greatest find had not yet been made. It waited, deeper in the desert, beneath layers of time and silence, guarded by myths older than the pyramids themselves. And it began, not with an archaeologist, not with a pharaoh, but with a soldier. Chapter 1. The Map in the Skull. Captain Edward Langford had served in the British Army during the Great War. He had seen the Somme, Ypres, and the mud of France. But after the war, when Europe drowned in grief, Langford went east to Egypt, where the desert whispered of eternity. In 1924, while stationed near Luxor, a Bedouin tribesman brought him something strange, a human skull, bleached white by centuries of sand, with a map etched into its crown, lines carved so precisely they shimmered under sunlight. At first Langford thought it a curiosity, perhaps a trick of some local craftsman. But when he traced the markings, he saw coordinates, ancient glyphs, and a symbol, the Eye of Ra enclosed within a circle of stars. He turned to his companion. "This isn't art," he murmured. "It's a direction." The skull was no ordinary relic. The carvings were in proto-dynastic script, older than Narmer's unification of Egypt, older even than the pyramids themselves. Scholars had argued that such records no longer survived, and yet here it was, a message from the dawn of civilization, hidden on human bone. Chapter 2. The Temple of the First Sun. Langford gathered a small expedition. Dr. Miriam Clarke, a linguist from Oxford, Yusuf el-Din, a Cairo-born historian fluent in ancient dialects, and 2 soldiers from the garrison. They followed the map across the western desert, beyond the known ruins, towards a place the Bedouins called Jebel el-Maut, the Mountain of Death. For weeks the expedition crossed seas of sand. Mirage blurred the horizon, and heat shimmered like flame. Then one morning they saw it, a ridge of stone rising from the desert, carved not by wind, but by human hands. There, half buried in dunes, stood pillars unlike any in known Egyptian architecture, not square, not round, but spiraled, twisting as if alive. Hieroglyphs covered their surface, but the language was unfamiliar. The figures were not of men or gods, but of light itself, radiant shapes with solar crowns, eyes like stars. "Ra, but not as we know him," Miriam whispered. "This is older. This is pre-dynastic, before Egypt was Egypt." They uncovered a doorway sealed with pitch and limestone. The lintel bore a single inscription: "Those who enter here awaken the sun below the earth." Langford hesitated, yet curiosity, that ancient curse of mankind, drove him forward. Chapter 3. The Chamber of Mirrors. Inside was a passage that descended for hundreds of feet. The air grew cold. The light of their lanterns reflected off something metallic, smooth as glass. They entered a vast chamber lined with mirrored stone. At its center lay a sarcophagus unlike any they had seen, carved from black basalt, its surface alive with strange metallic veins that glowed faintly when touched. Miriam leaned close, tracing a symbol, a circle within a circle, surrounded by 8 rays. "It's not purely Egyptian," she said. "There's Mesopotamian influence, even Atlantean myth. Impossible." Inside the sarcophagus was no mummy. Instead, a perfectly preserved human body, but taller, with golden skin that shimmered faintly, as though light still lived beneath it. The face was serene, ageless, and in its hands lay a staff, tipped with crystal. Yusuf's voice trembled. "The texts speak of the children of Ra, beings who descended from the sky before the first kings. They taught the art of stone, fire, and language. When they died, the gods buried them beneath the desert, so mankind would forget." Langford dismissed it as myth until the crystal began to pulse. Chapter 4. The Awakening. The light grew, filling the chamber. The mirrors trembled. The air vibrated as if the earth itself was speaking. The figure in the sarcophagus opened its eyes, golden, luminous, inhuman. "I am Kepornak," it said, voice neither male nor female, but like 1,000 echoes. "Guardian of the sun below." The team froze. Miriam fell to her knees. Yusuf wept. Langford raised his revolver, but his hand shook. "You walk in the realm of the dead," Kepornak continued, "but you seek light. Beware, for light devours those who are unworthy." The chamber blazed white. When the team awoke, hours had passed. The sarcophagus was empty. The walls now bore new inscriptions, lines that had not been there before. They spoke of a cycle, a time when the sun would fall beneath the earth, and men of dust would rise to claim it. Langford's rational mind could not comprehend what had happened, but when they returned to Cairo, every photograph they had taken was blank. The glass plates were scorched black, as if burned from within. Chapter 5. The Curse of Light. Within weeks, rumors spread of madness, of death. One soldier disappeared into the desert. Yusuf was found dead in his home, eyes burned white. Miriam left Egypt, never to return. Only Langford remained, haunted by visions, dreams of a golden figure standing beneath a burning sun. He tried to publish his findings, but museums dismissed him as delusional. The Royal Society refused his papers. By 1926, his career was ruined. But before his death, Langford wrote a final entry in his journal. The tomb was not of man, but of memory. The one they called Ra was not a god. He was a keeper, a guardian of power so vast that kings became myths trying to contain it, and that power, the sun below, still burns. When archaeologists reopened the site decades later, they found nothing. The chamber had vanished, as if the desert had swallowed it whole. Epilogue. The Return of the Light. In 2024, satellite scans over the same region revealed a subsurface anomaly, a network of geometric tunnels impossible to explain by erosion. At its center, a heat signature pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat beneath the sand. The coordinates matched those etched into the skull found a century earlier. Scientists dismissed it as coincidence, but some whispered that beneath the Sahara, the sun below still waited, and that the prophecy of Kepornak was about to begin again. "The gods do not die," the inscription had warned. "They sleep until the light remembers."